When the police showed up at my door, I was running the final test on my latest lines of code. 3 officers stood on my threshold. 2 women, 1 man, their expressions carved from stone. We received a report of child abuse at this address. I blinked, sliding one ear of my headphones back. I don't have children. We need to take a look around. They swept through my 400-square-foot studio apartment. The living area, the bedroom nook, the bathroom, the tiny balcony. No child. No pets. Not even a second pair of slippers. The male officer looked at me. Are you certain no child has been staying here? Positive, I said. I'm single, I live alone, and I can barely keep a succulent alive. He frowned. I suddenly remembered something and asked, how many times does this make? What? The reports, I said. This month, how many times has this happened? The male officer's frown deepened, but it was the young female officer beside him who spoke up. Fiona, right? We're responding to a citizen's report. We need you to cooperate. Her tone carried a sharp edge of impatience, as if my question was entirely out of line. I nodded, stepping back to cede the space. I am cooperating. Please, look around. If you need me to open a cabinet or move something, just say the word. My attitude was as accommodating as possible. I knew better than to argue. This was the 3rd time this month. The first time was at 11 on a Tuesday night. Someone had reported hearing a child screaming in my apartment. I had my noise-canceling headphones on, racing to meet a project deadline. Let alone a child crying, I wouldn't have heard a thunderstorm outside. They did a quick sweep, apologized politely, and left. The second time was last Thursday afternoon. The accusation had escalated to child imprisonment. That search was far more invasive. They made me open my closets and check under the bed. The result, of course, was the same. My apartment was cleaner than my conscience. Now, child abuse. The allegations were growing heavier with each call, and I already had a very good idea of who was behind them. The male officer, let's call him Detective Garrett, seemed to have more miles on him. He moved slowly through my apartment, his eyes taking in every detail. His gaze drifted over my bookshelves, heavy with texts on system architecture and programming algorithms, then over to my desk, where 3 monitors glowed with dense, nested lines of code. Finally, he looked out at the balcony. I'd turned the balcony into a small reading nook, a single beanbag chair, and a low side table. On the table sat a ceramic ashtray with a couple of cigarette butts. Do you work from home? Garrett asked. Yes, I'm a freelance game developer. You live alone? Rarely go out? Mostly just for groceries, or when I need a walk to clear my head. He nodded, taking another look at the room, which was tidy to the point of obsession. Can you tell me who filed the report? I finally asked. Garrett looked at me, silent. The young officer spoke up again. We can't disclose that. We're legally obligated to protect the caller's anonymity. A dry, bitter laugh escaped my throat. Right, I understand. Of course I understood. But the anger inside me was starting to claw at my ribs. The calls were anonymous, but it didn't take a genius to figure it out. This was a high-end building. The residents were generally professional and kept to themselves. Everyone maintained a polite, unspoken agreement to mind their own business. Everyone except him. My neighbor across the hall, Connor, a handsome single father with a 5-year-old daughter named Mia. The same man who, on my second week here, had knocked on my door holding a warm bowl of homemade soup and a dazzling smile. Are we done here? I asked. If so, I'd like to get back to work. I have a client waiting on this build. Garrett exchanged a look with his colleague. We're done for today. Sorry for the disruption, Fiona, but we do advise you to remain mindful. Multiple reports usually mean there's some kind of smoke. The young officer's words felt like a deliberate needle. Some kind of smoke? The anger I'd been suppressing flared white hot. Officer, I said, my voice dropping an octave. Are you suggesting that despite 3 empty searches, I'm still a suspect in abusing a child who doesn't exist? That's not what I meant.